What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you stopping by, spending some time with me today. One of my main goals in life, like my top priority in life, is to never be deceived by any external force. I don't want to be deceived by any person. I don't want to be swayed emotionally by any person. I want to be able to make my own decisions and think for myself. And I'm not saying like I don't want to love my wife and things like this. There are certain relationships where I willingly allow myself to be influenced by others. But for the most part, I keep this part of me closely guarded. I monitor it very closely, right? And even more importantly than this idea of never being deceived by any external source, I also never want to deceive myself. I never want to trick myself into thinking that my way is the only way, or that my way is the best way. I don't even want to trick myself into thinking that my way is the best way for me. You see what I'm saying? I just don't want to be deceived, period. And recently I read a book that opened my mind up to a different point of view on this, a different perspective on manipulation of all different sorts. I read a book written by George Orwell called Animal Farm. Last week I read this book, and this book really opened my eyes to certain things, right? I'll leave a link in the description in case you want to go read this for yourself. I'll leave you a link to an audiobook right here on YouTube. It's only 3 hours long, so it's really short, sweet, and to the point. And I highly recommend it because, like I said, it could perhaps open you up to new possibilities. You may even realize that you've been being influenced by what I would call, after reading this book, an old major type character. See, in Animal Farm, the story takes place on a small English farm. And the farmer who owns and operates the farm, his name is Mr. Jones. And Mr. Jones used to run a tight ship here at the farm. But since then, he has fallen on hard times due to a lawsuit. He's essentially bankrupt, and he is thrown into a deep depression. He becomes an alcoholic, and he then begins to neglect his responsibilities to the farm and to the farm animals, and even begins to abuse some of the animals. He has a whip that he uses to, beat them around the farm when he's angry and things like this. Sometimes he gets so drunk that he just forgets to feed the animals for a day or two. And as a result of this, the general decline of the farm, the animals actually become self-aware. Before, when everything was going right, when there was some stability thanks to Mr. Jones, the farmer, all of the animals, they never had a reason to question their existence or their life. They never had a reason to feel unhappy or unsatisfied because Mr. Jones ensured that they all had a purpose, that they were all working towards a common goal, that they were all fed and taken care of, that the horses were brushed on a daily basis and the animals were pampered, the ones that liked to be pampered and be paid special attention. There was some true compassion there. And the animals had no problem with surrendering their personal authority to their leader and rallying together under a common cause, right? But as things begin to change on the farm, as a result of the lawsuit, the animals magically realize that they've been in captivity their entire life, that there is a thing called a fence that holds them back. that they are slaves to the farmer, and that the farmers and all of the humans simply extort the animals and only feed them and give them enough water to keep life in their bodies so that they can continue to work for the benefit of humans, but not for the benefit of animals. This is the idea that Old Major is able to express in words to the animals. Old Major is the oldest and cleverest of the pigs on the farm, and he gives a speech, a very emotionally motivating and inspiring speech that inspires the other farm animals to stage a successful rebellion against the dictatorship of Mr. Jones, right? They overthrow their human overlords, and after this, in the spirit of Old Major, who has since passed on, they implement what they call animalism, which is their own form of government that includes like 7 commandments and basically their equal animal rights. But as the rebellion goes on, gradually the leaders of this animal rebellion become corrupted in much the same way that Mr. Jones was. They begin to deal with shady characters from other farms who take advantage of the animals and give them counterfeit money. And now the farm is essentially bankrupt again, and we see the same corruption take place within the animal leaders. And actually, at the end of this novel, the animal leaders, the pigs, actually literally turn into human beings, just like Mr. Jones, the very monster that they fought to defeat in the first place, the very thing that they all rallied together to defeat collectively in the first place. You see? So this book, it can be very powerful. It can open your eyes, because you may watch a lot of people right now on YouTube that tell you all sorts of beautiful things, possibilities of the future in a new world. I've even talked about it on my channel. And it's strange to get another perspective on it. So I just highly encourage you to read Animal Farm if you've never read it. George Orwell also wrote the dystopian novel 1984. That was also a movie. You're probably familiar with it. You probably heard of it. But anyways, I just wanted to put you on the trail here. I hope that you go and check that book out. Like I said, it's 3 hours. You can knock it out in the morning, in the afternoon, or whatever. But anyway, until next time, I hope you continue to free your mind.